Good afternoon, everybody. Back to talk about Big Brother 27. And the beginning of this is going to be painful to talk about because the most painful thing on feeds continues to be this budding emotional and mental abusive relationship between Rylie and Kat. And as hard as it was to watch Mickey during her HOH be so dumb, that was one of the points in the feeds where it was just hard to watch her be dumb. Nothing has been worse watching this gross man's between Kat and Rylie. And it's just, Riley's behavior is just getting worse. We've called it out in the past, and there's now some petition to get him off the show, but Big Brother and CBS never listens to petitions. So we're still stuck watching our nightly dramatics of Rylie being mentally abusive towards Kat. And I've gotten some comments what the times I've talked about this, how Kat is playing into this because it's a part of the game, and like that's what's wrong with the whole scenario, and it's why someone like Rylie should have never been cast in the first place. If casting and production would have done their jobs and checked Riley's background a little better, I guess that maybe they would know that he's a deadbeat dad with the kids out there. And as soon as he was cast, his baby mamas were complaining about the kind of person he was. But casting tends to fail on these reality shows. But last night, Rylie was mad at Kat for all reasons that were dumb. Because Kat was actually playing the game. That was the reason Rylie was so upset with Kat right now. And it seemed at first maybe he was just upset that other people were polling Kat all night and he wanted to talk to her and he was mad at the other people. But no, he was somehow blaming Kat for being the problem, of course. God forbid Kat actually play the game, because she never really does. So the fact that she was getting pulled to talk to people yesterday was good for her game. And if Rylie was actually here to play the game, maybe he would think it would be good for his game too. But I guess that's not the case. He was upset because Kat was gone talking to other people about the game for hours. His excuse was when then people pull him to talk about the game, he makes it quick. Well, yeah, that's because Rylie doesn't really play the game. Anyway, last night there was him asking her about why she had an attitude, even though he was clearly the one with the attitude. Him telling her to stop yelling at him when she was basically whispering, and he was the one throwing his F-bombs, being upset about what's going on in the house.
You got a problem with me today?
No, not at all.
You got a fucking problem with me.
I do not have a problem with you at all.
And from that point during the night on, starting to treat her like a dog. I would like to think that this whole Grossman's situation would be Grodner's love of showmances finally hitting a wall, because it's basically just becoming live abuse at this point. But the worst of all is that the show will continue to edit Rylie as the good old boy with his girl. They don't give him the edit he properly deserves as this creepy, emotionally and mental abusive weirdo. That is the edit he should have. But they don't do that. They're saving him with the edit. And I don't like Kat. But like as a gamer, honestly kind of not as a person either. You know, she started this game very nasty towards people. So nasty and so rude. She was being that at the beginning of this season. But nobody wants to see and watch every night this formation of an abusive relationship on live feeds happen. Nobody wants to be casted for this to happen to them. And it's why I say Rylie should have never been cast in the first place. It was a major fuck up from casting and production. But the show always gets away with messes like this, so it should be no surprise. But now Kat is stuck having to play a game where there is this dynamic that she may have to stick with him, because he does overly protect her in the game. But if she's uncomfortable and she asks for distance, some nights, which we have seen her do. Then she gets manipulated from him again with emotional abuse and well, mental abuse, whatever you want to call it. It's both to me, because his words are to blame her for playing the game. Like, that's utterly ridiculous and it's sick. So Rylie continues to be a deadbeat dad, a deadbeat player, a scary, emotionally abusive man in the house, but the Big Brother 27 cast still loves him. So I think it speaks volumes to this cast's lack of perception as people and players. Now, I will say the worst of Riley's attitude towards Kat does happen when they're together in private. But some of the cast has seen the way Rylie speaks to Kat at times, and only Kelly and Mickey have been the ones to call it out so far. I have a little theory that the way production's going to try and fix this problem is to try and help Kat win the game. That's my prediction. Production always interferes with the games. We've seen it for years. And they definitely helped Taylor win her season after they made her have to go through hell with the other people they casted. So I wouldn't put it past this production team to pull some sort of shit soon to be like, hey, look, we know we made Kat have to deal with mental and emotional abuse the whole time, but at least she won the game. I don't know how Kat actually gets a winning vote at this point, but crazier things have happened. But I don't see any way out of production fixing this situation right now with the way everyone treats Rylie like he is just the good old boy in the house. Riley's been pissy as hell all morning today. And I would love for the dummies to take notice, but they haven't been. Riley's upset, saying people are fucking with him and Kat. And then he was mad at Kat for not giving him a kiss this morning like she owes him one, like she would want to after the way he blamed her for her just gaming last night, like it was an offense against him. I must move on because it's just gonna... I hate that we have to sit here and talk about this in what's supposed to be a game. You shouldn't cast people that aren't going to play in the first place, like Rylie isn't doing. Was he just casted for a showmance? Was this the showmance Grodner was hoping for? Probably, because he's a sick, twisted individual, and she's been terrible at her job for as long as she's had it. Let's move on to a much better subject, actually. I actually want to talk about Keanu today. He usually gives me a headache, but he has been cracking me the hell up today. His delusions just never stop, and it's why he's a terrible player, and it's why the duo of him and Rachel are probably... I just don't see how it ever works for either of them, but... I loved on the feeds today where at the same time Kat and Ashley, of all people who don't always get along, were laughing about how delusional Keanu is. And then moments later we have Keanu and Rylie having a conversation where Keanu is telling Rylie that he controls Rachel. And I think that alone speaks to Keanu's delusions. Rylie was acting all big and bad today, saying he talked to Keanu because Rylie heard his and Kat's names out there, which I think is why Riley's having such a bad mood today. Once again saying he's going to protect Kat, fuck all these people, he's going to go crazy. But yet these people can't see him starting to bust at the seams, apparently. Keanu's one of many people that think they're like one of Riley's number ones. And in a conversation with Rachel today, Rachel tried to get Keanu to see that he's such a messy player, and him being a messy player, if he wants her to work with him, he can't be too messy because it's just going to hurt her too. And she continued to call him out, per usual, how all the information she gives to him, he always runs back and tells others the information, specifically Vince, of course. It's hard to watch, but it's also been entertaining to watch. But like, I get that Keanu and Rachel do need each other in the game, but they can't work together. It just doesn't work because Keanu continues to be delusional, and he is the dumbest player in the house. Like, he is. Rachel was afraid to tell him information because he always runs it back, but she did end up telling him the information she wanted to tell him was the fact that Rylie said he was coming for Keanu before Rachel made nominations. But then, of course, when Rachel tells Keanu this information, Keanu's like, no, I trust Rylie 100%. I do think it always falls back that Keanu just trusts men. I think that's the only opinions we've seen him actually validate in this game. And despite Rachel being now a 3-time player and Rachel always trying to help him in the game, he always falls back to his usual position of just trusting a man and information with the man. We see it with Vince all the time, and now it's the same thing with Rylie. And then Keanu is sitting there telling Rachel, hey, this is the game plan we need to do because you don't actually have anybody, but I have a bunch of people. Even though Rachel knows so many people have come to her talking shit about Keanu, nobody likes Keanu in the house. But Keanu is sitting there telling Rachel, let's work with Rylie, Kat, Lauren, Vince. You don't have a game relationship with Rylie and Vince, but I'm the bridge between them. And of course, Rachel's just looking at him like he's dumb, because he is. He wants Rachel to work with a bunch of people that aren't working with her, some of them being out for her and Vince. It's so nonsensical, but the funniest moment came when Keanu said, point blank to Rachel's face, Kat is not Rylie's number one. And that was one of the biggest laughs at all season this morning, was hearing Keanu say that Rylie's showmance, who Rylie has protected with his life in the game, he's been overbearing with Kat, as we see in private, but also in public when it comes to the game, how mad he's going to be if Kat gets put up on the block. Keanu doesn't think Kat is Rylie's number one, though. I think Keanu truly believes in his delusions that he might be Rylie's number one. And Rachel cracked up like I did. The only person that makes me laugh harder is Ashley, because she is hilarious. And Ashley and Will's conversations when they drag people is also pretty funny. But this was definitely one of the hardest laughs I had all season, because Keanu is so confident in his bad reads every single time. And worse off, he's saying, well, yeah, Kat might eventually become Rylie's number one in like 5-6 weeks, and then we could go after Rylie or Kat. In like 5-6 weeks, when we're at like what, final 5 or 6, that's when you think you should target the showmans, and it's gonna take that long for Kat to actually become Rylie's number one. What he's saying doesn't even make sense. How can she not be his number one now, but in 5 or 6 weeks he might become her number one? I don't know how Keanu is actually good for Rachel's game, but whatever. I don't think this week is going well for Rachel's game in the long run. I think, as I've been stating the whole week so far, there's a lot of emotions, with the fans and with the players. There's a lot of reactive moves being made, not a lot of planning smartly ahead. Mickey started the ball rolling, getting out Jimmy instead of the showmans, who now Kat's been one of the biggest people pushing for Mickey to go. Rylie's on board too. Rylie's never gotten over her stealing his HOH, as we called and knew would happen. So Mickey trying to protect him after doing that didn't make sense when it was happening. And now the repercussions of that happening now. But the fact that Rachel is going to leave this week in probably a worse spot than where she began is not great. She left last week with Zach going, which was a blow to Vince. I think if Morgan goes this week, that at least is still a blow to Vince. That might actually be the best case scenario. I know nobody wants to hear this. Everybody wants Mickey out of there. I do too, kind of. Like, emotionally, Mickey going is like, yeah, she got what she deserved. But Morgan going, that still weakens Vince. If Mickey goes, Vince still has so many. I've been saying this for several videos now. Vince still has the numbers. Vince just sort of recovers from Zach going, yeah, he loses Mickey, but they don't really have. Mickey might delusionally think they have a close relationship working in the game, but they don't. Vince still has far better people working for him, more loyal to him than Mickey is. The bad part, though, I feel like if Mickey stays, then Rylie is the one that it helps. If Mickey stays, it helps Rylie more than anyone. So I don't know what's worse, honestly. I think Mickey going is the best case scenario just for that alone. I don't. Mickey is still obsessed with Rylie today, trying to form a new alliance with him. She just can't get over Rylie, and she was happy when they hugged this morning. She's another just pathetic individual in the show, you know. We saw Morgan be pathetic about Zach, but Mickey's weirdness with Rylie is something that needs to be questioned after the show. Does she truly think he looks like Brad Pitt? She must, because she was happy about the hug this morning. But yeah, if Mickey stays, despite Rylie wanting Mickey out this week, I think Mickey still wants to work with Rylie. So Mickey staying just helps Rylie. So yeah, I guess I've come to the conclusion that if we can't get Vince out this week, which helps everyone because the game does bust so wide open, but Vince isn't going because he has numbers, which people like Rachel, I guess, don't care about right now. But if Vince can't go, then Mickey is the one that needs to go because I can't have Rylie having any more help. We're stuck with him in the long haul. I don't see how he goes. I just don't see how he goes anytime soon unless he goes crazy and maybe people actually start to pick up on the fact that he's a weirdo, especially when it comes to Kat. He is a bona fide, abusive, creepy ass weirdo.